Welcome to the World Health Summit 2023. It's a defining year for global health action. The climate crisis is growing more severe. It's past time to wake up and take immediate action. The health of people in the global south is most under threat, but many nations there have fragile healthcare systems. Digital technologies now allow unprecedented access to health information to nearly everyone, everywhere. But by 2030, around a third of the global population still won't have adequate access to treatments. If countries don't do more to ensure universal health coverage. In September, the United Nations strongly reiterated intentions to establish it. And the G20 also committed to pushing for equal healthcare opportunities worldwide. The goal is to foster robust, sustainable healthcare systems for all. Health equity is also a focus when it comes to future pandemic prevention efforts to help keep fronts united in the timely fight against emerging pathogens. Disease and its causes are deeply rooted in climate change, environmental destruction, hunger, and humanitarian crises. The European Union's global health strategy focuses on those causes. We still face huge challenges. The Sustainable Development Goals involving healthcare haven't been reached. Could we, for instance, really beat tuberculosis by 2030? Great successes are possible. Since its founding 75 years ago, the WHO has shown that again and again. But if we're to meet global challenges, politicians must keep their promises and cooperate on a global scale with stronger multilateral and multinational mechanisms, like those represented by the World Health Summit and its academic backbone, the M8 Alliance, a network of leading health centers and research institutions worldwide. We bring together stakeholders from all over the world to find innovative solutions for better health and well-being for all. Let's work together to make this world a healthier place for everyone. It's a defining year for global health action. The World Health Summit 2023 in Berlin and digital.
Please welcome on stage Axel Pries and Ina Chibora.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear excellencies, dear ministers and cabinet members, dear members of the parliament, dear representatives of the World Health Organization, and dear members of the M8 Alliance, which has grown since the last picture was taken by 3 new members in Pakistan and India. Dear members of the worldwide global health community, dear friends, welcome to the World Health Summit 2023. We are facing difficult times today. Coming out of the COVID crisis, we hope to have a situation where we could look at health problems little bit more in a little bit more peaceful situation. But now we face disasters, we face wars, we face brutal terrorist attacks and environmental and humanitarian catastrophes all over the world. Here at the World Health Summit, we cannot solve political problems, but all of you are engaged to improve health worldwide. You are a community in all your different functions in different countries, and you have learned that there's only one health on earth. During the COVID crisis, we used to say, no one is safe until everyone is safe. And that is true right now. And it's more true than ever. The ecosystem of the world is in crisis. And this crisis is affecting plants, animals, and humans alike. And the challenge to mankind is bigger than anything we faced in the past. But it's up to us. We, as a worldwide global health community, can give a positive example by working together, overcoming despair and paralysis, and enforce the spirit of international cooperation. And we have to work for humanism and better life on Earth. And this resonates with the motto of this year's summit, a defining year for global health action. This motto relates to events throughout the year, including the high-level meetings of the UN General Assembly, which we just saw, G7, G20, and BRICS meetings, and several initiatives dealing with the financial foundations of global health. And that will keep us busy in the next days. It will keep us busy in Berlin, and therefore I'm very, very happy to be able to hand over to the senator. It's a very complex name. It's not only research, it's health and long-term care. I hope I made it right. Ina, please.
Thank you very much. Dear President, Professor Pries, dear Commissioner for Health and Food Safety, Mrs. Kyriakides, dear Federal Minister of Health, Professor Lauterbach, dear Professor Krömer, dear Professor Leakey, Excellencies, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this year's World Health Summit in Berlin. To those who have taken the journey to come here, we are particularly pleased that you have you with us. We hope it will be worthwhile for all of you. This year's conference is dedicated to the motto, a defining year for global health action, we heard already. This topic is more relevant and urgent than ever in times of global crisis. That is why the city of Berlin is proud and honored that the World Health Summit convenes here. In times of climate change, wars and pandemics, it's becoming increasingly important to cooperate and to learn from each other worldwide. There are great opportunities here, particularly in the health sector. As a global metropolis and trade fair city, Berlin is a very good place to come together for this purpose. For the conference, I wish you all that the spirit of the health metropolis Berlin might inspire your conversations and discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Ciborra. I don't want to correct you in anything, but you said you hope that it will be worthwhile. It will be worthwhile. So, Berlin is really a perfect place for something like that. Berlin is a very open city, very friendly city. It has a problematic airport, but everything else is just perfect. But I can't blame the airport for the fact that some of our dignitaries couldn't make it today. That's more to the overall political situation. So some of them are not speaking here in Berlin because they couldn't travel, but they will be present anyhow via video, and you will see it. And Jodi will be the one to guide us through this very complex program in a brilliant way. I don't have to introduce her, but she's an ambassador of the World Health Summit. Jodi, come up. Give her a big applause. So she is not only an ambassador of the World Health Summit, she is your moderator of the evening. She's a good dancer. She tried it with me, but I'm not at all the right. And she's Nigeria's former chief of humanitarian coordinator, WHO special envoy. I don't want to list everything she does, but she does a good job today. Give her a big hand.
Thank you very much, Professor Pries. Thank you so much. Guten Abend in Berlin. Guten Abend. It's wonderful to be here. I have the honor, you've just heard, my name's Dr. Ayode Alakija. I have the honor today of being your mistress of ceremony. We established that protocol yesterday that we don't do masters, we do mistresses of ceremony now. And this is a special moment for me, really. I don't do nervous well, but this is a really special moment because 2 years ago, almost to the day, I walked through the doors of the World Health Summit for the very first time. Nervously, excited to meet many of the heroes of global health, people I'd heard about for years, Professor Ilona Kickbush, Jeremy Farrar, Dr. Tedros, these people I had never met in person before that day. And I walked in and crept off to my little side session. I didn't come to this big event. I didn't know that there was such a thing in those days. In those days, the only person I knew was my big brother, who's here as the co-chair of the World Health Council, Summit Council, El Haj Asi, and I leaned on him as I do now. So why do I tell you that? I tell you that for those of you in the back, those of you in the nosebleed seats, that there is democracy, there is equity, there is fairness, and miracles do happen. So you may creep in and you might have snuck in today, but next year you could be standing right up here. So believe. Young people, believe in the dream. Keep pushing, keep working. And that's why we're all here today, to keep pushing, to keep working, to stay the course, to embrace the journey. This is a seminal year in global health, and as we all consider all the high-level political discussions that you've already heard about, it is about acknowledging here today that we all have a role to play and can play our part. So in this very first session, we will hear from leaders, global leaders, friends now, reflecting on international cooperation. It's been a significant year. We've heard about G7, G20, and the man I'm going to introduce right now, it is my pleasure to introduce, I last saw, actually, at the G20. We were in Gandhinagar in Gujarat. His Excellency, Professor Karl Lauterbach, Minister of Health for Germany, to provide his welcoming remarks. Your Excellency.
Well, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all to this World Health Summit 2023. We cannot look at the world these days without deep dismay at the barbaric attack on Israel. This inhumane brutality is deeply shocking. Our thoughts are with the victims and their families. As Chancellor Scholz has said, we have asked Israel to tell us what is needed, in what way we can help. This includes my help in caring for the wounded and for those that are severely wounded. So let me use this opportunity to condemn this terrorist barbaric attack, which is in contrast to all we stand for and all we want to celebrate at this important meeting, which is the defense of human rights. This summit serves a crucial forum in a world facing ever-increasing health challenges. I'm very glad to see very renowned experts in the field of global health. If I was to introduce them in person, my time would be up. We expect more than 3,000 people participating in this important meeting, and in general, this is a time where global health is a topic in the most important international meetings. It has never had such a forum before. We have reached the midway point of the Agenda 2030. It is the 75th anniversary of the World Health Organization, and the United Nations has had 3 high-level meetings on health in its last meeting. But we, nevertheless, have to consider the question, are we successful or are we only paying more attention to global health? And I personally believe that currently it is a good news that there is way more attention for global health, but currently we are not successful, unfortunately. If you look, for example, at one of the topics at the high-level meetings, tuberculosis. We want to eradicate tuberculosis by 2030. And technically, it is quite feasible. We do have the drugs, we have the means, we know how to do it, but we are not successful. 1.6 million people dying from tuberculosis every year, and we see more resistance against the drugs that we do have. So if we are not more forceful, if we are not more successful, we may lose the golden opportunity to eradicate tuberculosis in coming to the eradication at a time when most of our drugs are no longer working. So we may lose the golden opportunity which we have in the next 7 years. It is similar if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals. We expect 50% of the people whom we currently target to attain global health security not to enjoy global health security if we do not increase our pace. So if we are not becoming faster, we will miss the target by 50%, which is a huge margin. And it is possible, and we do have the money. These are billions of dollars, obviously. But if you, for example, take into consideration how much it would spend to provide everyone in need with universal health coverage and compare this with the subsidies for fossil fuels, then it would take only 7%, it would take only 7% of what we spend in terms of subsidies for fossil fuels to eradicate the global health threats. So we are vastly underspending here, and this is a threat to our economy, because if we have more pandemics, if we have, let's say, more global health crisis, the economic damage by far goes beyond what we ever are supposed to spend. So therefore, we have a policy failure in order to provide the protection of our economy, which we could easily afford. Also looking at pandemic preparedness, pandemic prevention, which we discussed at the last summit. Where are we currently? Where are things standing? Well, we are still working towards a pandemic agreement, but currently we don't have it. And it is not quite clear whether we will have it in May next year or not. I think it would be a catastrophe from a public health perspective if we were not come up with a pandemic agreement. Because if we are not able as a world community to come up with a pandemic agreement after such a pandemic, we will most likely never agree on a pandemic agreement. And we will be worse protected than we were last time. So therefore, this meeting is also a very important forum for us to basically stress our commonalities, to stress our common goals, and to work towards a pandemic agreement. And therefore, I'm very pleased that the WHO leadership is here in order to foster the discussions that we need in order to make the pandemic agreement more likely. The world cannot afford to be without a pandemic agreement by the middle of next year. Let me point out that the discussions we will have here will only be successful if we discuss basically in all honesty, and discussing in all honesty means a pandemic agreement will only be successful if the executive power rests within the countries where pandemics can occur. It is impossible that we work on a pandemic agreement which limits the executive powers of any government. This is not possible, so this is not something that the North delivers for the South, but we have to basically discuss on equal ground because we sit in the same boat. Therefore, all executive power needs to rest with the governments which are in responsibility for such an agreement. Also, number two, I think it was also shown in the film already, we have to be more aware in what way climate change, pandemic prevention, global health, and environmental health work together. What we call the One Health approach is more important than it has ever been. We have been lucky in the past that there was many outbreaks which have not become a pandemic. But if you look at Africa currently, for example, you have about 2 outbreaks per week. And so in the past, these outbreaks have not led to pandemics or even not often to epidemics because there was not enough travel and there was also not enough dissemination. But with huge refugee camps, with population growth, with more travel, it is just a matter of time when these outbreaks will become pandemics if we do not better prepare for this. So therefore we have to, let's say, consider climate change, pandemic preparedness and One Health approach in one setting. And the meeting today is one major opportunity to do so. Let me finish up in pointing out once again the major importance, the seminal importance, the primary importance of WHO for us to be successful. I think that it is quite clear that without the leadership of WHO, without the leadership of Dr. Tedros, without the leadership of Mike Ryan, Chikwe, other people being here today, without that leadership, we would have lost additional millions of lives in the pandemic. So it is my conviction that we should strengthen WHO, and strengthening WHO also means that we have to pay more money for WHO. We need a better financial basis for WHO. WHO is really a life insurance for many people worldwide, and with WHO's leadership and our financial support, we can come together and make this world, the only world which we do have, a safer place. So let me finish up. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to the discussions. I think that this forum is meant to be a forum where we meet and discuss with each other, where we do not try to explain to each other what we have always been saying. And in that spirit, thank you for being here. Thank you for the leadership. Thank you, Dr. Pries, for organizing this. I should say that the Charité, our university hospital here in Berlin, is supporting us in many respects, the World Health Summit just being one of these occasions. So thank you for co-organizing this. Thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to the discussions. I'm looking forward to the results, and we as a government will do our best to finance and make happen and manage your ideas that you come round here. Thank you.
Thank you. Vielen Dank. Danke, Your Excellency Karl Lauterbach. The next session, or the next speaker, needs no introduction. And in this year of global health, where WHO has been celebrating its 75th anniversary, I struggle with that. People say WHO is celebrating an anniversary, or we need health for WHO. It's not about WHO. WHO is all of us. The WHO is the World Health Organization. That means you, that means me, that means all of us. And so behind me, you will see lights, as before we hear from Dr. Tedros, you'll see behind me the lights of the Brandenburg Gate, marking this World Health Summit. There you go. Marking this World Health Summit. And it's incredible because this Festival of Lights is a Berlin thing. It's a huge thing. You can never get close to certain hotels in Berlin for about a week in this year. And today, it's going to be all about the World Health Summit, WHO. And so we do have a little selfie challenge that you all after this rush over there and go and try and take a picture, get a selfie, catch a special moment in there. And apparently I'm told that Carsten will have a prize for somebody at the end of it as you hashtag WHS 2023 with your selfies this evening. I just made that up, but Carsten looks really alarmed. So, without further ado, my brother, the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros, is with us. He is unfortunately unable to be here today. I see you, there you are. Hello. Hi. Show us your foot. Show us your foot. How's your foot doing? Oh. Well, I would say get off it and rest, but we know that that is nearly impossible in this world that we live in. But where are you today? Where are you speaking to us from?
I'm in Manila. Salama from Manila.
Oh, lovely to see you, and we're really sad not to have you here, but Mike is here making trouble somewhere. Mike Ryan, he's doing a really good job of pretending to be you. So that's excellent, and we have many of your family members here, so we miss you, but we're looking forward to hearing from you, and look forward to next time when you can be with us in Berlin. My brother, Dr. Tedros, over to you.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, Minister Karl Lauterbach, Your Excellency, Commissioner Stella Kyriakides, World Health Summit President Axel Price, dear colleagues and friends, Guten Abend. I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person, but I send greetings from Manila, Philippines, and I believe that we are also well represented through my General Mike Ryan. As a founding member of the organizing committee for the first World Health Summit, and now as a patron, I'm delighted to see how this event has gone from strength to strength. It's now one of the most important meetings on the global health calendar, bringing people together from government, multilateral organizations, development banks, civil society, academia, industry, and more. This year, we come together at a time of conflict and crisis. The conflict in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory is an awful reminder of how quickly the health of millions of people can be put at risk. War will bring nothing but destruction and horror. Last week's attack by Hamas on Israeli civilians were unjustified and horrific. And I also agree with Karl that it was barbaric and should be condemned. I'm also gravely concerned about Israeli attacks on Palestinian civilians. Innocent civilians and children are paying the price. And asking 1.1 million people to move from North to South Gaza in such a short window will create a humanitarian tragedy. The forced evacuation of patients and health workers will further worsen the humanitarian and public health catastrophe. Critically ill patients, newborns in incubators, women with complications of pregnancy, and others cannot be moved without serious risk to their lives. WHO calls on Hamas to release civilian hostages, and we continue to appeal to Israel to abide by its obligations under international law to protect civilians and health facilities. We also call for the restoration of electricity and water and to allow the immediate and safe delivery of food, medical supplies, and other humanitarian aid. Last week, I was in Cairo, where I met with President El-Sisi, who agreed to facilitate the movement of health supplies into Gaza through the Rafah crossing. Yesterday, WHO positioned health supplies in Egypt ready to deliver to Gaza to meet critical health needs as soon as humanitarian corridor through Rafah crossing is established. And as we all know, this is only the latest conflict to erupt. In our fractured and divided world, we must continue to seek common ground and common good. The only solution is dialogue, understanding, compassion, and peace. Those are exactly the conditions in which WHO was founded 75 years ago, when the nations of the world came together in the wake of the horrors of the Second World War. The authors of the WHO Constitution recognized that the only way forward was across borders and ideologies towards a common goal of a healthier world for all. Humanity faces so many health challenges now, from war to climate crisis, deepening poverty and growing hunger, rapidly depleting natural resources and natural disasters, and of course, global and regional disease outbreaks. It was only in May, just 5 months ago, that I declared an end to COVID-19 as a global health emergency. We arrived at this moment thanks to the incredible skill and selfless dedication of health and care workers and the innovation of vaccine researchers and developers. But COVID-19 also laid bare the searing inequalities of our world, with the poorest and most vulnerable communities the hardest hit, and the last to receive access to vaccines and other tools. We saw a lack of coordination between nations and between health actors, and the politicization of science and the undermining of faith in our institutions from the spread of misinformation. One of the great tragedies of COVID-19 is that none of this had to be that way. We cannot let the painful lessons of the pandemic go to waste. That's why WHO has developed a plan for a more equitable, inclusive, and coherent global architecture for health emergency preparedness and response with equity at its core. The new pandemic accord and amendments to the international health regulations will provide the vital legal foundations for this architecture. However, I'm concerned that negotiations are moving slowly. I urge all WHO member states to work with a sense of urgency, with a particular focus on resolving the most difficult and contentious issues, so the accord can be ready in time for next year's World Health Assembly in May 2024. We're stronger together, and that's why multilateralism is so important. Much has already been accomplished this year to strengthen international cooperation. The G20 under India's presidency and the G7 under the leadership of Japan prioritized many critical health areas, including access to medical countermeasures, local production, universal health coverage, and the need for a One Health approach. I especially thank the leadership of the G7 and G20 for committing to better collaboration between finance and health sectors. This collaboration already resulted in establishment of the Pandemic Fund to help lower-income countries increase their preparedness capacities. This year's UN General Assembly also saw historic steps forward with, for the first time, 3 high-level meetings on major health concerns, pandemics, universal health coverage, and ending the tuberculosis epidemic. Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, in 1948, a world reeling from war came together to found the World Health Organization on the conviction not only that health is a fundamental human right, but also that health is fundamental to peace and security. Their conviction then must remain ours today. As we work together to promote, provide, and protect the physical and mental health of individuals and communities, we're also working to heal our broken and hurting world. My thanks again to Germany, to Berlin, and to the World Health Summit for your leadership and partnership. And also to my brother, Karl Lauterbach, for your kind words and the continued support to WHO, including what you said, the financial today. And my thanks to all of you for your continuing commitment to realizing the vision of health as a human right, an end in itself, and also a means to development. As always, as I always like to say, Gesundheit ist ein Menschenrecht. Vielen Dank.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my dear brother. It was wonderful to have you in the room, albeit virtually, and we're really happy to really hear your continued commitment, the critical leadership that you have provided over these really turbulent years that the world has been through. The minister, your friend and brother Karl, said, are we successful in global health, or are we just paying more attention to global health? I have to agree with that question. But these are the people, the action is coming out of places like WHO, so many of you here in this room, young people, others, looking at that critical nexus between climate and health, but also what my brother just said about the pandemic accord and what also the minister said about the pandemic agreement. It is absolutely critical. You said, and I'm going to quote you here, that it would be an absolute disaster almost if we were not to have an agreement by next year. And why do we say that? That agreement is not just for low middle income countries of the world, but you also said the WHO is, I believe you said it was health insurance for many. I would say that it is health insurance for the world. It is health insurance because it is a World Health Organization, and this is why we must all come together in this critical moment. I spoke earlier about coming into this room, not this very room, but one of these for the very first time 2 years ago to meet all of these people in person. And the reason I came was because I was coming from Nigeria. Too many people I knew I had seen die for lack of vaccine, die for a lack of access to oxygen, die for a lack of access to medical countermeasures. And we cannot allow that to happen again. So I thank you, Dr. Tedros. I thank you, all of you who come together. Let us put our differences aside. Let us come together. You said we are in the same boat. Let us remember that we're in the same boat. And as we talk about that boat is also on fire. That boat is, I know it's not a song, it literally is on fire. The boat is on fire. The climate crisis, the climate health nexus is a critical nexus as we look at the health effects of climate change. I'm somebody who comes from Africa, but I also have spent much of my life living in the Pacific Islands. I have a Fijian daughter and a Fijian husband. Many of the islands that we used to go to when she was a child have completely disappeared. To me, climate change is not a myth. It is an absolute reality. I remember crouching in the basement of our house during Cyclone Winston. How many of you in the room remember Cyclone Winston? Crouching, you see, many of you don't. Well, because I have lived through it, I remember it. I'm crouching. I see my big sister Natalia here. I think I was texting you from Fiji at the time, crouching in the basement of my house, praying that when we came up, that the house would still be there. We had the dog and we had the cat, and we were praying that, oh God, please save us. It was the sound of maybe 7 747s going on above my head. I'd never heard anything like it before. The climate crisis is linking. We now have dengue in France. We have dengue and malaria in Spain and all of these places. We need to take action. We are still in that same boat. So with that, I want to thank Dr. Tedros and thank you for being here, and hope that you can stay and join us for some of the proceedings today, so you can hang out with us a little bit. You can put your foot up and you can grab a drink and hang out. Okay, deal?
It's very late here already after. It's 1, and I didn't sleep the last 24 hours, so if you allow me, I will...
Okay, I released you. You can go and rest small.
Flying more than 20 hours, yeah. So...
Okay. You have
but
permission.
I will try. You're the boss now.
You have permission. Go rest. Go sleep. Bye. Bye. Somebody switch off his computer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Tedros, the Director General of the World Health Organization, a man who manages to have the weight of the world on his shoulders and yet smile. I don't know quite how he does it. But with that, I want to go to the Youth Envoy, Omnia El Omrani, the Youth Envoy to the President of the UN 27th Climate Change Conference. Omnia has come to join us today from Egypt, and as I introduce you, as you come up, I'll introduce you, in acknowledging the importance of the voice of young people. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the long-standing partnership with the Inter-Academy Partnership and the Young Physician Leaders Program, and welcome their representatives who are here with us tonight. If you all are here, can you stand up and give me a holler from wherever you are in the room? We have representatives from Brazil, the UK, Cameroon, Chile, China, Egypt, Ghana, Indonesia, Malaysia. Stand up, y'all. Yay. Somebody take a selfie with the minister. He's taking a selfie. The diverse tapestry that is here today. Young people, I love you. I love you. I love you so much. My energy is young. My bones are getting creaky, but my energy is young. You know, like Professor Priest says, I like to dance, but I love your energy, and it is you who is going to save us from in this world. It is people like Omnia, it is people like you. So we want to acknowledge your enthusiasm and your fervor, and I know that you all are going to go to the Brandenburg Gate later this evening. Over to you, Omnia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Your Excellencies. I would like to first thank you for the opportunity to bring in the perspectives of young people on global health action and international collaboration. Last year, during this time, I was doing my training in the hospital. Not a single day passed without a patient presenting with an asthma exacerbation or an acute lung infection because of the high levels of air pollution. Many of them were children and young people. I saw the detrimental impacts that pollution led on their growing brain and body. I saw the imperative need to recognize the environmental determinants of health in our efforts to strengthen universal health coverage and healthcare systems. Similarly, I saw the urgency to equitably transition to renewable energy across all sectors, including the health sector, which can save up to 3.6 million lives. And that is why we, as young health professionals, are catalyzing the decarbonization of our healthcare facilities while rethinking and transforming our education and training to ensure that the future health workforce is prepared to respond to climate-related disasters and disease outbreaks that can save 5 more million lives. Not only does the triple planetary crisis affect physical health, it impacts the mental health and well-being of the most vulnerable. People living with mental health conditions are 3 times more likely to die during a heat wave. Farmers are dying by suicide. Communities are experiencing ongoing grief and post-traumatic stress disorder because of climate-related disasters. Women are experiencing increased gender-based violence because of scarcity of resources. And young people, in particular, are feeling the most distress because of the compounding impacts of the humanitarian, health, and environmental crises that is impeding their basic access to food, water, healthcare, and education. A very recent report in 2023 showed that children and young people in 98% of African countries are now living in extremely high risk of climate change. On the other hand, when we look at the global climate finance, less than 3.4% goes to youth-responsive measures that address the catastrophic impacts of such crises. And even less than 0.7% goes to youth-led climate solutions. Many young people now are being displaced, forced to migrate because of climate change, because of conflict, or both. And these feelings are further heightened by the disconnect between the necessary global health action that young people want and what is being done by their governments and institutions. And that is why young people believe that fighting the global health challenges is fundamentally about human rights and intergenerational equity. Young people are leveraging their activism and judicial systems to hold their countries accountable for their violations to their right to a safe, clean, and healthy environment, and successfully brought that to the International Court of Justice. The WHO Youth Council has selected climate change and mental health as one of the key priority areas to empower young people to translate mental health resilience directly into policy and action. The prioritization and investment in mental health can save up to $47 billion annually by 2030. Despite our important role as agents of change, young people continue to face multiple challenges that restrict our meaningful participation and as well as our identification beyond only beneficiaries or victims of leaders' decisions or lethargic responses to issues of existential importance to our health. And that is why the Egyptian COP27 presidency appointed a youth envoy for the first time in 27 years, a position that I'm so honored to have, to work on the meaningful integration of youth-led perspectives from the design to the delivery of COP up to the political outcome decision. So my ask for you today is to do the same, to reorient your institutional structures, including governments within ministries of health, as well as other health-determining sectors, to include young professionals and young experts as equal and natural stakeholders to the decision-making processes, to the policy design, implementation, and evaluation. Because as young people, this will enable us to foster, to regain that trust, to bring in the innovation as well as elevate youth agency across all fronts of global health action and international cooperation. And it will also ensure that the most practical and cost-effective solutions are also tailored according to the lived experience and needs of the most affected and who are always marginalized. And we can do that, for example, in the lead up to COP28 that is going to have the first ever Health Day and Climate and Health Ministerial. And we can all agree that a health agenda can only be inclusive if youth priorities are reflected across all its outcomes. Finally, health is the ultimate narrative of hope. And only through intentional partnerships and meaningful collaboration, we can collectively address the global health challenges that we are facing and the systemic inequalities my generation is living through. Let us not forget what we have agreed upon 75 years ago, and let us instead listen, work together, connect, to ensure that across generations we are building a healthy, a safe and secure and just world that young people want and deserve. The time to protect our future is now. Thank you.
Done. Come on, give it up for Omni. Excellent. Excellent. I told you, young people will save the world. We just need to make sure they have a world left to save. That is, I'm serious. We need to make sure they have a world left to save. That is on us. Omni talked about 75 years ago, the World Health Organization was founded. She was not alive then, neither was I, and many of us in this room maybe were not then alive, but the world that we have created and we're leaving behind for young people is not one that they deserve. And whilst we support and we applaud and we support youth participation, we must also make sure that we acknowledge our own part and we step aside so that they can take center stage. Just wonderful, wonderful to hear you. The next speaker I would like to welcome is a video. It's not live with us, unfortunately. Minister Keizo Takemi of Japan is unable to be with us today, but because actually he's in the same place as Dr. Tedros. Unfortunately, the regional meeting of the WHO and the, what is it? Not SRO. Wipro. Yes, that was my region. How would I forget? Naughty. Thank you. This is why I have Professor Kickbush in the front row. She will tell me off properly later. Japan have held the G7 presidency this year, and we want to thank them for their leadership. And also, I particularly want to acknowledge the launch of the Impact Investment Initiative for Global Health, which I am very honored to co-chair together with two gentlemen, one from the Global North, Steve Davis, and my friend Ken Shibusawa from Japan. In recognizing that the private sector actually has a key role to play in achieving health for all. This is really, really critical. We're hearing from the minister that there needs to be more, everyone is saying there needs to be more funding. Unfortunately, the purse is shrinking. Everybody is chasing after the same money. We need to get innovative. And you know, one of the things I said to my co-chairs as the initiative was launched at UNGA by the Prime Minister of Japan just a few weeks ago was, how about we just get really, really excitingly creative about getting funding into the health sector? How about we move away from the regular sort of same old. We can't keep going to the same people in the private sector. We can't keep going to, you know, whoever the names are that we know. We can't keep going to these people. We need to make sure that we can crowdfund. We need to make sure that young people have a place that they can contribute their money to because they're very concerned about climate and health. We need to make sure that low and middle income countries are able to also contribute. Private sector is the way. Private sector, those partnerships are really something we need to begin to really actively lean into, looking at my dear sister Katerina over there. I just saw you. So I'm going to introduce now the video by the Minister of Health, Keizo Takemi, Minister of Health, Labor and Welfare from Japan, thanking them for their contributions. Thank you.
Good morning, and good afternoon, and good evening, everyone attending the World Health Summit. I'm Keizo Takemi, Minister of Health, Labor and Welfare of Japan. This is the first time I have participated in this event since I was appointed as minister. I hoped to visit Berlin in person to exchange views with everyone gathered there. But please allow me to participate virtually at this time. The World Health Summit, which I have participated several times, I would like to express my sincere respect for your vital role as the important platform for global health. I would like to express my deepest gratitude for Dr. Access Please, the president of the World Health Summit, and all the people involved. In 2020, the entire world was threatened by the COVID-19 pandemic. And we are reminded of how important it is to strengthen the health system in ordinary time to prevent, prepare for, and respond to health emergencies like a pandemic. From the experiences of this pandemic, it is important to establish the way to build PPR to health crisis into the healthcare system during the peacetime. In the context of linkage between the local and global, we acknowledge the lessons of human society that we must address the challenges we faced in the field of healthcare. Based on this awareness of these issues, this year's G7 Health Ministers meeting in Nagasaki, under the theme of working together for a healthier future, discussed the direction that the global community should take in the post-COVID-19 era, with contribution to achieving more resilient, equitable, and sustainable UHC as one of the main agendas. Based on the outcome in Nagasaki, the G7 summit in Hiroshima also delivered a strong message at the leaders' level. Especially, the G7 formulated the G7 Global Plan for UHC Action Agenda, which outlines the actions that the G7 should take towards achieving UHC in the entire world. In the 3 years of the COVID-19 pandemic, the world has been overwhelmed by the crisis response, and the political momentum for achieving the UHC has unfortunately declined. However, the UHC high-level meeting was held during the UN General Assembly High-Level Week. This is an excellent opportunity to rebuild the momentum for achieving UHC worldwide. In this context, I have great expectations for the timely holding the World Health Summit. In addition, I have consistently promoted the idea that strengthening health financing as essential for achieving UHC. Based on this idea, as the G20 presidency in 2019, Japan convened the G20 Joint Finance and Health Ministers meeting for the first time. Furthermore, this year's G7 outcome documents indicated the importance of a global hub function, including for financing, knowledge management, and human resources on the UHC. We believe that such a hub will be able to accelerate efforts for achieving UHC in the entire world. Japan will also promote our efforts, including health financing, for contributing to achieve the universal health coverage. Finally, there are existing schemes such as research and development by the CEPI and the Gavi, the clinical trial network for WHO, and regulatory harmonization, the establishment of mass production systems for pharmaceuticals and medical devices in each region of the world, the last 1 mile efforts of delivering systems and primary health care, including preventive services such as immunization. Then we should utilize the existing financial approach to collaborate with each other. Under such increasing geopolitical concerns and conflicts, reforming the financial scheme is vital. We should be practical and take such soft governance approach to design the global health architecture. I expect our discussions at the World Health Summit will build and improve the momentum for global health, and everyone gathered here today will further promote each efforts and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister Keizo Takemi. It was a pleasure to meet him just days after he was appointed a few weeks ago in New York around the margins of the General Assembly. We heard earlier that it's been a big year in geopolitics. It's been a big year in global health. You know, we've had the high-level meetings, but really importantly, really a huge focus on health at the G7, as you just heard, and also at the G20. I've had distinct honor and privilege of being invited and attending several of the health meetings in India, and I think many of our friends and the familiar faces around this room, we explored India together from from Kerala to Goa, from Goa to Gandhinagar, to where else did we go, to Delhi, so many other places. It sort of was it was amazing journey around the country, amazing journey of discussing and working out what the future is going to look like. And so it is my pleasure now to welcome my dear friend, my dear sister. Namaste. Good to see you. So wonderful to see you. I'm so sad that you're not here. Anyway, you did such an incredible job with the G20 meetings. You really brought health to the fore. It was incredible. It is an honor to have you here virtually, and next time I hope you come in person, huh? Okay. Yeah. Over to you, my darling. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Alakija, and I'm so happy to see you here. Excellencies, esteemed guests, and distinguished colleagues, Namaste. I stand before you today to address a matter of utmost significance, the essential transformations required to face the ongoing and emerging global health threats and crises that confront our world. India believes that the landscape of healthcare and public health has never been more dynamic, and the challenges we faced have never been more difficult. It is crucial that we recognize the gravity of these challenges and commit ourselves to transformative action. Friends, India believes that first and foremost, we must acknowledge that diseases do not recognize borders, and the COVID-19 pandemic has also underscored the need for international cooperation and preparedness. India would like to suggest that there is an urgent need to strengthen our global health infrastructure, investing in early warning systems, surveillance, and rapid response mechanisms. Furthermore, collaborative research and data sharing are paramount to anticipate and mitigate future crises. India, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, would like to highlight that health equity must be at the heart of our transformation efforts. The pandemic has highlighted health disparities disproportionately, affecting vulnerable populations. To build resilience, we must ensure that healthcare access is universal and affordable at all levels. There is need to focus on community-based health systems, investing in primary health care, and promoting preventive measures. India reaffirms the importance of strengthening national health systems by putting people at the center of preparedness and equipping them to respond effectively. Gender equality in health systems to achieve universal health coverage, that is UHC, with an aim to strengthen primary health care and the health-related targets of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals, as well as the UHC Action Agenda. Excellencies, India, under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, has taken up a holistic approach towards achieving health for all by focusing upon and incorporating traditional systems of medicine and healing like Ayurveda, yoga, etc. The National Telemedicine Service, eSanjeevani, ensures equitable access of quality healthcare services across the country, especially in remotest areas at no cost. More than 168 million consultations have successfully been rendered through this platform, serving around 350,000 patients daily. Excellencies, we believe that innovation is the cornerstone of a response to emerging health threats and support the sharing of scientific knowledge and technologies to ensure equitable access to life-saving interventions. India, under its G20 presidency, has recently launched Global Initiative on Digital Health, a WHO-managed network, which aims to create a globally connected digital health ecosystem, covering global efforts and investment. India supports a WHO-led inclusive consultative process for the development of an interim medical countermeasures coordination mechanism to enhance collaboration for timely and equitable access to medical countermeasures against pandemic threats. India suggests that the interim mechanism should consider a network of networks approach while building on international and regional partnerships and entities and nurturing opportunities for collaboration. Excellencies, we all need to work towards creation of an active global health architecture by focusing on building IHR core capacities, strengthening surveillance, enhancing One Health core capacities, promoting healthcare investments and digital health ecosystem, promoting research and development of affordable medical countermeasures such as vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics, etc. More coordinated global efforts are needed to drive greater alignment and action on health economic and finance policy levers through knowledge sharing, technology transfers, and collaborative manufacturing to ensure health equity globally. Let us all collectively commit towards the work ahead. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind.
Dhanyavad. I can't let you go. Dhanyavad. Dhanyavad. I can't let you go without acknowledging before the world the success of your CoWIN vaccination program in India. I can't let you go without acknowledging Vaccine Maitri that saved many islands of small island states around the world. I can't let you go without acknowledging a woman in leadership in India and your excellent role that you play. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Praveen. Thank you. Yeah, just incredible to hear the variety of perspectives from around the world, everybody bringing their own piece to the table, and just how incredible it's building up, how incredible this year has been in global health. My sister Magda said something earlier this morning at the WHS Council meeting about this being the end of all the global health meetings, all the meetings of the year, October. We're all tired, it's the end, isn't it? Are we there yet? No? You guys want to keep going? I'm done. I'm going to Fiji. I'm going to a beach. I'm tired. And that's really important because we come here and sort of coalesce and sort of bring it all together. And so it's important to hear from all over the world. And right now I'm going to hear from our European colleagues, and the European EU Commission has also been a major player, launched a strategy. Just there's so much engagement. We're going to hear a video address from Her Excellency Stella Kyriakides, the Commissioner for Health and Food for the European Commission, and we'll also have our friend, my dear friend, and our colleague, Paco, who will come up on stage and speak to us also whilst they're going to sort of have a tag team conversation. But the EU's role also is really critical in these few years. Of course, we sit in Germany, a core EU country, and we appreciate our partnership. We appreciate those of us from the African continent. We really appreciate the sort of coming together that we have all tried to do over the last few years. And nobody gives the EU enough credit for the fact that Act A was an EU initiative. Act A was started by the EU, the Act Accelerator. It was started by the EU at the very beginning of the pandemic, and there's a lot of Act A bashing. People sort of say it didn't work, but I want to argue the counterfactual. What if we had not had it? Millions more would have died. And so it's too often we focus on the negative without really looking at the positive aspects of things and without saying thank you to those who have actually at least tried to make a difference. So today, Paco, to the EU, to Stella, to my friend and sister Sandra, I say thank you. Introducing now Stella Kyriakides.
Ministers, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Without the immediate emergency of the pandemic, we face two clear risks. First, that our collective efforts fizzle out and that other considerations take over the global health agenda. We, in the European Commission, are committed to fight those risks with urgent and collective action, with a global outlook. Our partners are asking us to go back to basics to achieve universal health coverage and to regain lost ground for the Sustainable Development Goals, to deliver better health for all. In true Team Europe spirit, working closely with our member states, the new EU Global Health Strategy is already on the road to implementation. We are determined to walk the talk with immediate and concrete action on 3 interrelated priorities: delivering better health and well-being for people across the life course, strengthening health systems and advance universal health coverage, and preventing and combating health threats, including pandemics, applying a One Health approach. Today, we can already share with you 5 takeaways of our early experience.
Ladies and gentlemen, first takeaway: act where impact is the largest. This is why in the EU we are focusing our efforts on strengthening primary health care and on prioritizing women, girls, and the most vulnerable. And that, ladies and gentlemen, across the full spectrum of their rights and with no concessions. We must equally tackle all determinants of health, including climate. Second takeaway: act now. To help close the equity gap in medical countermeasures, the EU and its member states are deploying 1.2 billion euros to support health technologies and manufacturing in Africa for Africa, thanks to the full use of voluntary technology transfer. Equally, to close the capacity gaps in prevention and preparedness, we're acting now as main contributors to the Pandemic Fund, which in its first call for proposals alone is mobilizing more than $2 billion for those who need it most. Third takeaway: beyond these concrete actions, it is important to strengthen global PPR governance with an ambitious pandemic agreement and stronger international health regulations. This is a choice the EU favors and to which we're committed. Negotiations will succeed if they're embraced by all partners in equal measure as a shared responsibility, closing gaps across the full cycle of prevention, preparedness, and response with a One Health approach. Fourth takeaway: it is essential to improve the global digital toolbox at the service of health. This is why we have shared our widely used EU Digital COVID-19 certificate with the WHO as a basis for the WHO's new Global Digital Health Certification Network, which will afford protection to citizens across the world from future health threats. And fifth takeaway: support the many good ideas from different partners across the world. Like India, South Africa, and Norway, we believe it would be responsible to swiftly introduce an interim countermeasures mechanism until a pandemic agreement would be in place as a safety net that could save millions. We're equally pleased to support and co-shape Japan's III initiative to catalyze high-impact private investment in global health. And we gladly contribute to the Future of Global Health Initiatives process to maximize the impact of these crucial stakeholders across the global health waterfront. Back to you, Commissioner.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a crossroads which necessitates continuous engagement in global health. Engagement based on deep and shared responsibility. Engagement that focuses on better health for citizens, not geopolitical goals. Engagement based on concrete action and shared interests, not only our interests. Engagement which is inclusive and gives equal voice to all, without exclusions and without distortions. Engagement based on solidarity, on partnerships, on mutual respect, not charity. Engagement that genuinely mobilizes partners, international organizations, global health initiatives and stakeholders along their respective strengths. Let us strengthen the WHO's normative and technical work as an indispensable leader in global health. Let us use the UN framework to support that leadership. Let us use this year's G7 and G20 as springboards to help shape the future of health financing. Let us mobilize the full power of private investment and philanthropies at the service of core global health priorities. Let us leverage the central role of industry in innovation. Let us embrace the power of civil society organizations to deliver health results on the ground. The World Health Summit is the ideal setting for this crucial discussion, with its unique combination of expertise and experience, perspective, and political drive. Let me thank Minister Lauterbach and Germany, Minister Rousseau and France, Dr. Tedros, as well as Dr. Axel Priess, for bringing everyone together here today at World Health Summit, an indispensable partnership which the Commission is proud to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner Kyriakides. Thank you so much, Francisco Perez Cañado. Thank you for that. And the focus on women and girls right at the beginning that got that applause. Thank you for your words. Commissioner Kyriakides has actually led me beautifully into the next speaker because she said, let us mobilize the full power of private investments. I spoke earlier about private sector, and now we're going to hear from live, happily, this time, from the President and CEO of Daiichi Sankyo from Japan, Sunao Manabe. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, dear distinguished guests, good evening. I am Sunao Manabe, CEO of Daiichi Sankyo, a pharmaceutical company based in Japan. It's an honor to be speaking to you today. Global health needs collaboration, commitment, and innovation. And the World Health Summit is the place where we together discuss this and take the next steps. Daiichi Sankyo is one of the leading pharmaceutical companies in Japan. With a history spanning over a century, our strength lies in science and technology. Dr. Jokichi Takamine, the first president, was a researcher, and among his scientific achievements was the world's first successful crystallization of adrenaline. Daiichi Sankyo has inherited his spirit of curiosity and drive by embarking on new challenges. Our latest innovative medicine is an anti-cancer agent that received a standing ovation at the 2022 American Society of Clinical Oncology annual meeting. The history of this cancer medicine reminds us not to be discouraged by setbacks, to work on fulfilling our commitment. Early studies of this medicine began already in 1990s. Nothing is more gratifying to a pharmaceutical company and to me personally than the fact that a new medicine derived from many years of effort benefits many people. As a researcher in toxicology, I have been engaged in research on medicines for 30 years. Over that time, I have directed research from the standpoint to develop medicines that not only are effective, but can also be used safely by patients worldwide. Despite our efforts, there are still many diseases for which treatment methods have not yet been established. The probability of success in new drug development could be very, very low, and in some cases, many years pass without remarkable results. Even in such difficult time, we must continue to invest in research and development. These long-term investments are supported by a system that protects intellectual property. For the longest time, there has been criticism asserting that the reason people in developing countries have no quick or easy access to pharmaceuticals and vaccines is that the international rules for intellectual property and trade are biased towards some developed countries. What do you think is the most important factor in improving access to medicine? We believe that it is cooperation among stakeholders internationally. Access to medicine cannot be secured without solving the problems of trade barriers, domestic insurance systems, logistics, and of them at the least. The dilemma is still fresh in our memory. Let's work together to overcome these hurdles. Universal health coverage is one of the important factors for the improvement of access to health care and medicines. The effective utilization of digital transformation is another important one. A combination of digital transformation and health care will invigorate further medical services, bringing tremendous benefit to the world. I think that most important thing is for us to commit ourselves to improving access to medicines globally, ascertaining the true causes of problem, and standing firm to realize improved access. Many countries are building up national security, and not only out of fears of the pandemic, but also because of growing geopolitical risks. Thank you very much for providing me with this opportunity to share my commitment to collaboration and innovation with you at this meeting today. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Sunao Manabe-san. Thank you very much. Collaboration and innovation, the power of innovation, the cooperation and the collaboration that we need as a world. I know it's been lots of talk and lots of speeches, but I've got a treat for you. Does anybody want to guess what that treat is? No? Axel! We're going to dance. It is my absolute honor and pleasure to introduce to you a multinational group of Berliners from as far away as Brazil and as close by as France. We come from many nations. They are a Panda do Sol, and they are going to play and entertain, and I promise you, you are going to want to get out of your seats, because whilst you've all been sitting here and I look like I'm working really hard, what I've really been doing is practicing with them in the back. So I know the moves, I know the beat, and guys, come on stage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are at Panda do Sol, and we're very happy to be here with you tonight.
veio a me devorar. Uma saudade que não me deixa sossegar. Dei amor, por favor, vem me reconfortar. Que eu neste mundo não posso me conformar. Dei amor, por favor, vem me reconfortar. Que eu neste mundo não posso me conformar. Vivo sorrindo se me vês feliz a cantar. É que no mundo há de ter amor pra entregar, mas no meu peito vive a me devorar. Uma saudade que não me deixa sossegar. Vem amor, por favor, vem me reconfortar. Que eu neste mundo não posso me conformar. Vem me abraçar. Vem amor, por favor, vem me reconfortar. Que eu neste mundo não posso me conformar. O anoitecer, vou tentar esquecer aquilo que me faz sofrer e que não posso mais lembrar.
Muito tenho sofrido, não quero mais padecer.
Laia, laia.
Verdade, amor, que não pretendo perder.
Laia, laia.
Foi passando com as lágrimas caídas no meu rosto enrugado. Ai, meu senhor,
não vou deixar as flores do meu jardim envelhecer. Não vou perder o tempo que me resta pra viver. Eu vou abraçar e benzer este amor até a terra nos envolver. Vou abraçar e vencer este amor até a terra nos envolver. Sofrido, não quero mais padecer. Já tenho lar e amor que eu não pretendo perder. O tempo foi passando com as lágrimas caídas no meu rosto enrugado. Ai, meu senhor,
não vou deixar as flores do meu jardim fenecer. Não vou perder o tempo que me resta pra viver. Eu vou abraçar e vencer este amor até a terra nos envolver.
vou abraçar e vencer este amor até a terra nos envolver.
Thank you very much.
No. Oh my goodness. That was amazing. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you to all of you who didn't dance. Now, I will catch you one day. Don't worry. That was a beautiful, beautiful segue and introduction into the next segment, which is to interview and to introduce to you all last night's Virchow Prize Laureate, Professor Rose Lekke. It is my absolute honor to introduce to all of you, because not all of you had the chance to be with us yesterday, and you will hear from her and you'll hear her life's work, but you also just saw her dancing, which is absolutely amazing, because people often say to me, I've heard all of my life, you know, my daughter's somewhere in the back, and, you know, she'll remember this, that life has to be fun, you know, Ilona, this is what we talk about a lot, and you have to live it, you know, but people, I remember it was in Australia, I think I went to pay for something when I was working in the Pacific, and I was jiving to some music, and I went to pay for this thing, and the woman said to me, oh my God, you're a doctor? Because she saw my card. And I said, yeah. She said, you totally give off like a pole dancer vibe. I was like, what? Unfortunately for her, there happened to be a pole in the room. So I swung around. I said, I can do that too. Because, you know, we can be whoever we want to be. It's a free world. So without further ado, I am not going to pull out anything for Auntie to dance on, but I am going to pull up a chair as I come down and welcome you to the stage. Okay? Please welcome the Virchow Laureate 2023, Professor Rose Leke. Welcome. It was, wasn't it? It was a bit of fun. Shall I pull up a chair? Let's chat. Let's chat. Because my feet hurt. Let me pull up a chair. You don't have a microphone? Can I have somebody grab you a microphone? No, this is an interview. Can we have a microphone, please? Axel, can we borrow your microphone? Thank you, Senator. Run up, bring it up. Girls get things done. Thank you. This is really an informal chat. You know, call it a mentoring moment for me and all of you. So, but what it is you all out there are listening in to my private, intimate mentoring moment with somebody who now happens to also belong to all of you because she is the Virchow Prize laureate. And so she has now become a Berliner by association. Yay! So last night, and I call her Auntie, so I'm going to go with that. So last night, Auntie, you shared with us a story of your life's work. And especially for me as somebody who's worked at communities from all over the world, community is the heart of who we are and what we do. Absolutely. But it was just an incredible moment in that room. I wanted you to first of all tell me how that felt yesterday, because me at 1 a.m. in my bed, I was still shaking from those African drums. I can't imagine how you felt. Tell us.
Thank you, Yodi. Yesterday was very special, right? I was overwhelmed. I heard so much about me. I wasn't sure it was me they were talking about, especially when the RD was talking. And I just felt so elated. I've worked hard. You heard my story. All my life, I've really been in global health. You know, right from the student, right into the laboratory, into the community, and, you know, right now into policy and all. You heard the story. I've been doing all that. And right now, at this moment, what I've been doing is just trying to see. You did something here that was so special. And you're like, we have to step over and have these other younger ones take over. But you just don't step over and leave them without giving them the capacity to do that. That's what's important. And I always tell my own people that they have to do much better than I have done. You should have seen I tell you, with mentorship, as you say. I have these, we have the Higher Women Consortium in Cameroon.
Still we rise.
That's right, you got them yesterday. Yes, and I got all this mail coming in today after yesterday, and everybody, and the grant is really going to sustain us in, you know, carrying out mentorship, because we need to mentor them. We don't just step aside. In my country, they would call me a quarter two. You know what that means? A quarter two. So those are the ones that really have to step aside. But before we do that, we have to make sure that these ones that are coming in will do much better than we have done with everything that we heard about innovation and the technology and all that it is that they have today. Come on, they have to do better. That's what I keep telling them. And they asked me today, even with this prize you have, we have to do better. I say, yes, you have to do better. So that's where I stand now in mentorship, in coaching, and just making sure that, and this morning, you know, about women.
Yes.
Wasn't that good?
Yes.
And did you hear the EU Commission? Did you hear that?
Yes.
Prioritizing women. What I've been wanting to hear. You know? And I mean, he was sitting next to me and he came there and I was like, thank you very much. That's really what, I am so overwhelmed with this because this is what I'm trying to see done before I become a 5 minutes too or whatever it is. But, there's so much I still think I and everybody else, and this to get it set together, it's community again. Yesterday I talked to you about what? Innovation, resilience, and community. So we don't sit here talking about them and not thinking. We bring them in. They are the ones that work with us, those communities. So, you have any other questions? Should I continue on?
Yes, I do.
Yes?
We had a little chat yesterday, and remember I said to you, one of the things that I like to say, and I sort of say to the younger ones, and my daughter, I'm a mother of a girl child, so this is my life, and young people, is that my prayer for you is that my ceiling would become your floor. Absolutely. That where we end is where they begin. Because that is, and that for you, Omnia, for you, Chilimba, that is my prayer to you, because, and all of you young people in this room. And so, how do we ensure that that ceiling is stable enough for them to stand on, that that foundation is stable enough for that to, and I ask it also for me, that how do we work through the challenges to get to that summit without collapsing?
No, that's one thing, I'm optimistic in my life. I try, and I keep telling these higher women, the women I work with, I say you have to stay optimistic. Never get discouraged. Never say never or so. If the door closes, a window opens. And that's what I keep telling them. And so we just have to, there'll always be challenges, right? Challenges all the time. And what we are for, if you don't have challenges, that's no life. So life is trying to, overcome all these challenges that we have. See, I've been so concerned about manufacturing. I look at the African continent where I come from. At COVID, look at the vaccines. Where are they? Drugs, where are they? You know how we suffered. And now they've been talking about manufacturing vaccines and drugs and so on. On the African continent, there are 5 places they've chosen and so. And I hear this evening the priority again is to make that happen in the African. But I've heard it. Now mine is I'm waiting for action. It's not just listening to it here in the summit, please. I'm waiting to see how that will happen. And I think in our time, if we see all that going on, we're moving on in global health. That's what we need. And then to say one thing again to you, you're Nigerian, I'm Cameroonian, we know in Africa, our governments, gosh, we are so donor dependent. Please help us. Donors, our countries too should put in, they keep, this 1% and so on. Help us so that these countries can also put in something. And with that, we will have more. We talked about investments today. We talked about true partnerships. We talked about collaboration. And this will really be it, that we put our part and the others are putting their part, and then we can move on. Right?
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Auntie. That's brilliant because one of the things I speak about a lot is the Abuja Declaration. We are 22 years from Abuja Declaration. Where is the money?
Every day. Yeah.
Where is the money?
Keep asking also.
We
don't get the answer.
We have to. We absolutely must put our money where our mouths are. And it is up to you and me and the young ones and all of those who work along with us to keep applying that pressure and keep saying that we also must do our part. All parts of the world. We're going to go into the next segment as I begin to wrap this up, where we're going to hear from small island developing states. We're going to hear about reforming finance. But before we do that, you have to put your own foot first. We heard that there's no longer the charity model from EU, and we've been saying that. I'm one of the primary people who shouts all the time, no, part charity is dead, partnership, but if you don't bring your own money, the charity isn't dead now.
Absolutely.
So thank you,
That's
Auntie.
what, and the young people here, you have the tomorrow, please. So take it over in whatever way. Please do so.
Thank you so much, and congratulations once again. Thank you. Thank you. That was fun. Wish we could have done that all evening. Thank you so much, Virchow Prize Laureate, Professor Leke. So now we're going to go into the section on finance and innovation for global health. I don't know about you, but numbers make my head hurt. So, we're focusing on the importance of finance, and public and private finance are critical for us to achieve UHC and health security. We're hearing about the climate health nexus and, what do we need to do around that? So we're going to have opening remarks from another incredible woman, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, whose leadership is calling for innovative means of financing the polycrisis that we as a global community are facing, and acknowledging that critical climate health nexus. It's known as the Bridgetown Initiative. So I'm going to hand over now to Prime Minister Mottley.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, global citizens, good afternoon all and welcome. I understand that today we bring together over 300 speakers representing 100+ countries across the globe as we collaborate and, yes, contemplate on how to make meaningful strides towards the ever-elusive Sustainable Development Goal 3, good health and well-being for all. Of course, I'd like to thank the World Health Summit for hosting this incredibly timely forum under the theme, A Defining Year for Global Health Action. In a world of mounting crises, every day we must confront the hard questions and the harsh realities affecting our global community. Indeed, the concurrent and consecutive crises and calamities appear never-ending, with each one further demonstrating the depths of our interconnectedness. The pandemic in many ways could have and should have been the great equalizer. It should have been a moment of intense international cooperation. COVID-19 has indeed served as a harsh reminder of our disproportionate susceptibility to world events. Vaccine inequality, travel bans, supply shocks, and the resulting strain on our economies demonstrated that while the world's challenges are global in scope, our individual nations have varying capacities to respond efficiently to them. As a leader, I must believe deeply in the resilience of humanity to respond and overcome whatever comes our way. But I do believe that it is naive and inefficient to attempt to confront these complex layered challenges without an aligned community response, and indeed, without an aligned international response. The world's poorest experience twice as high income losses as the world's richest, demonstrating the steep financial burden borne by those who could least afford it. There are disparities that are only further illustrated when doing inter-country comparisons as well. Ultimately, if we want to achieve better health outcomes for the world's poor, which includes just about half of the population, then we need to develop more effective financing mechanisms that help the Global South build up its public health systems and to create robust and responsive domestic infrastructure. Before we are plunged into another global pandemic, this needs to become a priority item on our development agenda if we are indeed serious about creating a healthier future for all. That is why in the Bridgetown Initiative we talk about the importance of being able to ensure that we can provide the finance for global public goods, because we all know that if we don't secure these global public goods, we put not just one country at risk, but all of our countries across the planet at risk. Today's forum is important, and the need for it is urgent. I imagine that at this stage we are all a little tired of living through these unprecedented times, all of these chaotic difficulties that we face. But that is precisely why we need to align our goals to aptly respond to our rapidly changing global landscape. In this room, both physically and virtually, there is the potential for deep collaboration and open science-backed dialogue that can help move the global health debate forward. These are the kinds of discussions that we need to be having with more frequency, because it is what the current global moment demands. We need to see how countries from the South can align their procurement practices for pharmaceuticals to ensure that we do not find ourselves as victims again in the next pandemic, or even indeed as we fight the battles to be able to minimize the incidence of chronic NCDs in our populations. That level of collaboration among the Global South both in terms of procurement and also coordinated manufacturing, is absolutely critical if we are going to make that difference. So my friends, I'd like to wish everyone a very productive session. I am deeply appreciative of your commitment to not only strengthening our global health systems, but to improving the quality of life for us all. But these noble goals will only happen if we make the individual decisions to be able to strengthen our systems, to be able to expand our collaboration, and to be able to benefit from international agencies such as the WHO that can help bridge the gap when we do not have the level of expertise or knowledge, or indeed in some instance financial support so to do. So my friends, I say to you, I regret that I'm not there, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prime Minister Mottley. We're going to go now, having heard about changing financial models, to hear now again from the private sector. And now I have Bernd Montag, the CEO of Siemens Healthineers Germany, who is going to come up on stage to give his... There you are. You're so tall. How did I miss you? Welcome.
I hope this works. So I want to start with a private story, in the life of a CEO of a medical technology company. I was recently invited to a party. Despite I'm stiff and German cancer, we're doing early diagnosis and precision therapy and so on and so on. And you know this moment maybe, and then it becomes silent because people think, wow, what a noble profession. But what I secretly think, and I don't want to be too heavy here, this is too cheap to just to be proud of this, because when I'm honest, I'm just lucky that I had the chance to be in this field. And what really means, what would really make me proud is when we do three things. We are in healthcare, in a truly global business. And truly global is, there is no chip war. There is no cancer war in healthcare. Healthcare is really about, it is one of the rare things which truly remains global. And we, and I'm sure the fellow companies in our sector, want to live up to this, with our being global, with us, as an example, Siemens Healthineers being present in 75 countries, with people in 75 countries who partially are at war with each other. But our employees are united by one common goal, to fight cancer, or to fight cardiac disease, or whatever it is. And I believe it is our duty to really make something with this gift in a world which is much more about division than about being united. Number two, I think, what it really means to be proud to be in healthcare, or in my job, is it's not only about innovating and about making healthcare better and doing new things, innovation in this field, but it's about putting as much energy into bringing what is already there to those who really need it, and to innovate and to have and to put energy into access to care, and to not take the easy position, this is a topic of the politicians, or we need better boundary conditions, or where is the infrastructure, but to truly reach out and form alliances and not to wait. This is, I think, what it means in the future to run a medical technology company. And number three, what it really would mean to be proud to run a medical technology company is to also truly contribute to sustainability in the sense of environmental sustainability. We heard a lot in the talks before about the health impact of climate change, but we also have to be mindful that there is a climate change impact of healthcare, and we as the medical technology industry, and also we as in particular at Siemens Healthineers, don't want to take it as an excuse that we are in healthcare, and that is why the same standards when it comes to protecting the environment, stopping climate change, and preserving resources do not apply for us. And this is why I am here, why we are here as Siemens Healthineers, but also why many other representatives of our industry are here at the World Health Summit, because this is the party, so to say, where people can really judge whether we contribute, whether we can really be proud, but this is also the community where we get our inspiration and where we can learn, but hopefully where we can also inspire others. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. It was great to get an insight into those secret thoughts. Yeah, really, I liked what you said about climate change impact on healthcare as well, flipping that back to front, and look forward to talking to you more about that. But now I come to Africa, to young Africa, to Christina Chilimba, who's the founder and executive director of All for Youth in Malawi, who's going to talk about how youth and civil society play a critical role in influencing for financing and innovation. Welcome, Christina.
Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, esteemed guests here with me today, I am so delighted to join you today. Do we have young people in the room? Just a show of hands, please. Yes, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you filled up the room. So I stand here not just as Christina, but as the stories, as a voice for the stories and the potential of young people, not just in Malawi, but across the world. Every one of you here has been young before. You have experienced what it means to be 13, 14, 15, and 16. You also have been vulnerable, and you know how it feels to be young and misunderstood by that adult who doesn't listen or believe in you. We all in here have been there. I hope that in the next few minutes, you will not just hear my passion, but you will recognize the opportunity for more impact by meaningfully engaging young people. In our world, we have been hit by COVID, conflicts, and the daily reminders of climate change. The world that you're planning for, you are strategizing for, does belong to the youth, such as myself. Even though we're youth today, we will be that adult tomorrow. So why not listen to us? Why not include us in your planning? And then again, we don't always have to agree. But engagement is non-negotiable. As a young person, I started All for Youth with a mission to providing young people in remote communities with information, life skills, and an understanding of the many policies that affect our lives. I am proud to say that close to 200 young people between the ages of 14 all the way to 35 have been positively impacted by my efforts. If you assume that this is a drop in the ocean, think about the multiplier effect of these young people in their communities. My personal mission is to bring youth engagement around discussions for getting youth the contraceptives and the services they need for them to have autonomy over their bodies and their futures. I could have not achieved all of this without the listening ear of the Global Financing Facility. Under the leadership of my government back home, the government of Malawi, the GFF partnership has opened up the space for young people to sit at country platforms, together with high-level decision makers, donors, the private sector, not forgetting the civil society. This has enabled me and several other youth leaders to shape policies related to us, but also ensuring that these policies are translated into action in our communities that we serve. Our advocacy, for example, in Malawi, has led to better access to contraceptive of marginalized youth in districts such as like Mwanza, Dowa, and Zimba. I mean, this work must continue, even more so now, faced with growing challenges. For example, early this year, my country was hit by Cyclone Freddy. The floods destroyed so many lives, washed away so many homes, forcing women and adolescent girls into camps where some are still living until today. More women and girls in these camps have had to face and endure gender-based violence and cannot access sexual reproductive services such as contraceptives. The aftermath of that, as you can all imagine, a surge in unintended teenage pregnancies, child marriages. A lot of young women are suffering, and they need our support. We cannot, I repeat, not take the conversations that we're going to have here seriously. Ladies and gentlemen, my generation is under a threat. 40% of the population in my country alone are below the age of 15. We are 1.8 billion of us around the world. How can you ignore us? As one wise man once told me, he said, the difference between you and I is that you believe you can change the world, and I believe that I should never stop trying. Together, we're a formidable force for a better tomorrow. The Global Financing Facility Deliver the Future campaign, with a pledging moment tomorrow, is a game changer for our communities, for my community. I can assure you that generous donor contributions will translate directly into support for young people. When we are empowered to shape our policies and decisions, concrete results like the ones I've mentioned earlier on becomes a reality. If you want to make a difference in the lives of young people such as myself, for the better tomorrow, for a better future, GFF, the Global Financing Facility, is the vehicle. And the time, as my fellow speakers before me, is now. On behalf of young people, I count on you to make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Very, very well said. Thank you. And last but not least, in terms of our speakers for tonight, I hear everybody says, really? We're going towards the dinner time now and to for a drink? Yes, shortly. Last but not least, as host of the Paris Summit on a new global financing pact, I welcome His Excellency the Minister of Health for France, Aurélien Rousseau, who is here with us virtually and will be speaking to us via video. I know that his ambassador for global health is here in the room and his team, and we're really happy that they're here. Sad not to have Aurélien in the room as well personally. Cue video. Thank you.
Mr. President, Minister, lieber Karl Lauterbach, Madam European Commissioner, Mr. Director General, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I am deeply sorry not to be able to attend this major international event for health with you in Berlin and to participate in your vibrant discussions. It is thus very important for me, speaking as French Minister for Health and Prevention, to have the opportunity to say a few words at this World Health Summit today. In this forum, under the high patronage of President Emmanuel Macron and Chancellor Olaf Scholz, we cultivate the Franco-German friendship and beyond that, the common conviction that the future of healthcare research, academics, innovations lies in ever better and ever stronger international cooperation. I thus want to thank you, lieber Karl, for inviting me to speak here and for the fruitful discussions we had earlier this week in Hamburg. Last Thursday, I launched, together with my colleagues in Research and Foreign Affairs, with the Director General of WHO, the French Global Health Strategy for 2023-2027 in Lyon. Crafted with input from various stakeholders, this new national strategy is the result of months of in-depth work, which will guide our actions for the next 5 years and join effort with EU partners and the WHO. As the coordinator of the European Joint Action on Global Health Initiatives, which is funded by the European Commission under the EU4Health program, my ministry is committed to ensuring the highest impact and visibility of the EU's contribution to global health. With this in mind, I am happy to announce the official launch of this promising EU joint action that involves 34 partners from 20 member states, as well as Norway and Ukraine, that took place yesterday in Berlin. More globally, in face of rising geopolitics, threats and polarizations, Europe demonstrates its relevance as the right space for more sovereignty and solidarity when it comes to securing the supply of critical medicines or responding to health crises. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID should not be perceived as an abnormality in our history. Experts warn that we should anticipate the possibility of future pandemics and global health crises. This heightened awareness of the multilateral nature of health risks should also be an opportunity to reaffirm and strengthen our global health action in a positive and ambitious way. Also, I would like to stress that we should not only address crisis management issues but also think and act on the longer run. For instance, the increase in extreme weather events and climate change as a whole are true public health threats. In this perspective, it is absolutely crucial to thoroughly examine the interconnection among health, climate and environmental issues in a shared One Health approach and act accordingly. The establishment of international surveillance and scientific collaboration program is key. PREZOD, among other initiatives, plays a critical role in addressing zoonoses. Achieving these goals requires a robust national healthcare system and an ambitious investment in the training of our medical and healthcare professionals. This is why France, under the leadership of President Emmanuel Macron, strongly supports the establishment of the WHO Academy, whose construction site I visited this week in Lyon. Finally, I urge nationwide and worldwide prevention efforts. Prevention is one of our most powerful tools to combat health disparities and inequalities. Focusing on the social, environmental, or economic factors that impact health is particularly crucial when we all know that preventable illnesses, chronic disease, and addictive behaviors first and foremost affect the most vulnerable. I am committed to advancing those priorities alongside our international partners, alongside with you, as we are gathered here at the World Health Summit in an impressive diversity of actors, national and international public decision makers, researchers, private sector leaders, civil society activists, etc. I know I can count on every one of you here in this audience to join us in this ambition. I thank you for your attention and wish you an excellent summit.
Thank you so much.
But first of all, before we all do that, we have to thank our mistress of the evening, Jodi, with a small present from Berlin.
Gosh, thank you very much. Thank you.
And I hand over to our chairman, Heyo Krömer, to greet you for the Sharif.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the party is now definitely over. And as CEO of Charité, I'm really proud to see the WHS developing in such a fantastic way. WHS is a strong family member of Charité and has been started by Detlef Ganten very successfully and is now further proceeded by Axel Pries. So thank you all for coming to this venue in Berlin. And it's pretty clear that these large personal meetings are sometimes discussed in times of climate crisis and traveling. But I'm totally convinced that this personal meeting face-to-face, gives the opportunity to discuss in an intense way. So we would like, if you do exactly that, and aside from that, you can have some fun in Berlin because it's a fun city overall. So thank you for coming.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last one is the speakers still can't go to eat something. They have to come up to the stage and we get a group photo. Everyone else is dispensed and there's food outside.
What a lovely surprise.